macroeconomic outlook. So we could see how's the outlook of economic throughout the year and also in the next 3 or 5 years in order to adapt our strategy and capture the opportunity that we see in ASEAN countries and also in Thailand. As the front row seats are still available, so please, you can sit over here. There are a lot of available seats at the moment in front row. The second session of Thailand Focus 2013 would be the presentation, which is very interesting, and we could see how the logistics of Thailand would go further in the future, and how could we capture the opportunity to invest accordingly. The first 2 rows are still available. Distinguished guests at the back, you can sit over here as well. So you could get closer to the speakers. All right, it's about time now. Welcome back to the second session of Thailand Focus 2013. And let me now proceed with our next session. May I now introduce Dr. Pansak Vinyaratn, Chief Policy Advisor to the Prime Minister, on the topic, Thailand cannot afford to not build 1.4-meter track for the high-speed train. The session's Q&A will be run once again by Dr. Suput Saishia, Executive Director and Managing Director of Patala Securities, who is one of the best economists in Thailand. Please welcome Dr. Pansak and Dr. Suput on stage.
Hello again, everyone. Welcome, Sir Dr. Pansak, to our Thailand Focus this year. Obviously, we have talked a lot about trains, about connectivity, and I know you're the one to talk about it at length and the concept behind it all. After all, we have very good roads and low-cost airlines. So the question is, why do we need the 1.4 track for the high-speed train, which is the topic that we are discussing today, sir? Thank you.
Is this thing on? Okay. Morning. As Dr. Suput said, I've been talking this thing for nearly 2 years now. I get absolutely bored now with it. I want to move to other subject now. But then Suput asked me to come and give a talk. I shall try my best not to get bored. Look, we do it this way. I don't think I need to answer your question about if we have a lot of roads and low-cost airlines, do we need trains? In logistic profession, efficient train, the safe, on-scheduled, good service is the most economical way of transferring living things and non-living things. Now, the issue is a living thing and non-living thing can coexist on the track. Now, if you are interested, you should be studying the ICE system of the German. We call it the ICE system, in which they use the 1.4 gauge track. Europe use 1.4 gauge track, and they call it standard gauge track. But first of all, let me do the preliminary first. The 1.4 gauge track, the European captured the word standard before the Russians. And the European call it world standard track. The width is 1.4 something meter gauge. The Russian comrades of mine created 1.6 meter gauge. And the Russian was a little bit late in capturing the word standard. So the European got the word standard gauge being 1.4 gauge. Now, the Communist Party of China made a strategic political economic decision of making the decision to put down nearly 10,000 kilometers of 1.4 meter gauge tracks in the whole of China at this moment. Okay, so the Russian 1.6 track is sandwiched by European 1.4 gauge and in the Chinese 1.4 gauge. Now, we had to make a decision. Shall we continue to keep the colonial track width, which is 1 meter gauge in Thailand? In Southeast Asia, there's an old colonial track gauge of 1 meter gauge. But most of us now had announced that we will put down 1.4 meter gauge from Singapore all the way to the north of Thailand. Now, I don't need to, okay, now let me repeat this. Forget the speed. Forget the speed. The speed is not the issue. The speed is useless if you put a wrong track width. Okay? This is very important. So we're going to put in 1.4. No need to discuss about how many billions of dollars we save per annum just for internal logistic use and transferring Bangkok crazy peoples, at least 1 million of them outside to live outside Bangkok because the infrastructure of Bangkok cannot survive anymore if we keep doing this. Okay, that's already a gain in itself. Okay, so the issue is not the speed, the issue is the track width. Now, the track width, why it's important? If you look at the map, Chiang Mai, and then next to Chiang Mai 1.4 track is, change the slide. Okay, this is not just a Communist Party of China dream. They are operating at this moment 1.4 meter gauge tracks right next to us. The station is Kunming. Now, we have the choice of going through Laos or going through Burma. By going through Burma, the length becomes shorter. In fact, the track between Chiang Mai and Kunming may be open for syndicate investment. That's a very sexy track because from Chiang Mai, you can turn left and then the proposed new track within 10 years would bypass China and go through Turkey for Europe. And the Chinese has a long view of history. The Chinese already invested in the Turkish tunnels going under the Bosphorus for two-way traffic under the Bosphorus to go to Europe already. Now let us first concentrate on what is real at the moment. The moment now is the fact of the Chinese operation. The Chinese operation from Chengdu, Chongqing, and another crazy Chinese name I can't remember. The important part is Chengdu. If you go to Peking Airport, you will see the big banner Chengdu propagandizing about itself. All the major electronic companies of the world have factory in Chengdu there. And we are benefiting from Chinese rail link between Chengdu and Duisburg and Hamburg already on weekly basis. We have Korat, giant Seagate Korat factory there. We pile up Seagate products, hard disk, into Thai International Ballet, and then the flight go to Chengdu. And then all the workers in Chengdu put them up in Hewlett-Packard frame, little portable, medium price Hewlett-Packard frame, and load them into Chengdu cargo train from Chengdu to Duisburg or Poland on a weekly basis. Now, maybe you guys too late, and if you are European houses, you better contact DHL and other guys. DHL already put their foot into this operation already. And they are involved in this structure of logistics already. Now, think about it. When the line from Bangkok go down to Singapore, we already know that Singapore and Malaysian had twice made statement. They want to put down Singapore to Kuala Lumpur commuter train of 1.4 meter gauge, commuter dash high speed. But I want you guys to remember this. The real high speed train is nearly 500 kilometers per hour. Our so-called high-speed train is in fact medium speed train, 250 kilometers per hour. Therefore, the cost for refurbishing the system is much less than the true high-speed train, meaning we choose the right speed for optimum delivery of cargo. Okay? Now, the media in Singapore and Malaysia talk a lot about this crazy line between Singapore and Kuala Lumpur already. And the government of both countries come to the conclusion that they need to connect with the Thai track to make money. The issue is, shall Thailand cooperate, and Thailand, Burma, and China cooperate to extend the livelihood of Singapore port or not? Yes. My map doesn't go down to Australia. It's terrible. Sorry, people always say my friend country, the ass end of the world, is not true. It's north of South Pole, right? Okay, now, if you don't imagine, just find out. Light cargoes, anything not more than 30 kilograms per parcel, coming from Australia, New Zealand, Indonesia, and so on, that go through either Singapore port or Changi airport as air freight. Divide that up into those who have medium time sensitivity, not high sensitivity of time that go through Singapore, and then load either from Singapore port or from Changi to the high-speed cargo train for delivery in Thailand, Southwest China, Western China. The size of the business is massive. Think about this. The future is not hauling steel or Australian coal or Australian metal things for the Chinese factories. The future is light cargoes. Why the future is light cargoes? You are competing on providing modern products. Modern products, parts are light. Each year it becomes lighter and lighter. Therefore, the issue of warehousing, the issue of capital lock-up, and so on. Trillions of dollars can we save this way. Now, did you know that to send cargo from Shanghai to Hamburg take 45 days on the sea? And the people you can say hello to are sharks, some nice whale, or Malacca pirates, and Somalia pirates. And your insurance cost for shipping your goods to Hamburg is X. Terrible X, right? It's terrible. Now, did you know that to haul cargo from China by train to Europe take 15 days, 15 days, or maximum at the wrong side of the Chinese continent, meaning anywhere near Peking, it will take 19 days, 19 days. You compare capital lockup of 45 days and 15 days. And train is wonderful. You don't have to say hello to sharks. You don't have to say hello to Somalia pirates. You don't have to say hello to the Malacca pirates. In fact, you can drop off cargoes. You can drop off your bloody cargoes at the point of orders, not one dealer at the port city. We had been captured by the Portuguese sea explorer who found Asia through the sea for so long, and they destroyed the Silk Route, where the Arab and the Chinese had a wonderful monopoly for quite a while. Now, the reopening of this so-called Silk Route is absolutely amazing, and we sit next door to it. Now, 10 days ago, the Chinese Prime Minister, the new one, just made a statement. The engine of new growth for China is Western China, next to us. Now, the list of Western, actually, I think Excellency, the Prime Minister of China, include, actually, he also used the word Yunnan with it, which is, some of us call it Southwest China, but he includes that. If the engine of the new growth of China is West and Southwest China, the rail linkage between Thailand and the 1.4 meter gauge of the Chinese is supremely important. We are discussing with the Chinese in a new dimension. We no longer just discuss with the Chinese as we had for the past 2 years on which engines should we buy from the Chinese. At this moment, we are discussing with the Chinese authority. When I say authority, I mean people who have authority, not just the Chinese. The Chinese authority on the issue of connecting our track with possible cooperation of Singapore, Malaysia, Burma, Thailand, and the Chinese, because the rail link from Singapore port to Western China and beyond also would be optimized if we all discuss together. And the depth of the discussion is beyond the question of, screwing the Thai track with the Chinese track, but also where are the strategic stations and hubs for light cargo transfer in China and so on. Okay? Now, you see, this country is full of contradictions, and yet a lot of investors in this country doesn't mind the cost of logistics of 30%. So far. Now, if we can offer to them the lower cost of logistics for a semi-virgin market in which the government will not accept lower growth than Peking area. Chinese government would not accept for political reason that West and Southwest China growth would be less than Shanghai or Peking area. That virgin market, Thailand is not next to Shanghai. We don't have the hell to sell to Shanghai, they're all buying Gucci and all that kind of shit, right? So what shall we do? Well, we are next to Southwest China. By being next to Southwest China, we can incrementally create product or sustain existing production capacity of Thailand to supply to that growth. So that is the key. Next. So far, what have we depend on in Asia? Port, seaports, and airports. Now, if you watch CNN last night until 1 o'clock, with bath and breath, when will the American launching the Marines and the jet plane, and all kind of missile into Syria, and forcing Mr. Putin to be closer to the radical militant Islam and the Chinese also. Then think about it. Think about energy cost. Now, if you break up Syria, what happened to energy cost and so on? What happened to sea traveling? What happened to air freight? Land link is the first option. The Chinese practice their foreign policy well. They will say this to all of us little Asians around continental China. This circuit of 1.4 meter gauge is the gift to Asia. You see, this link. So, Thailand have first insurance, highly efficient human logistic transfer in Thailand for SME and OTOP and all this. Domestic, stabilized domestic growth without moving of migrants from the countryside and so on already. I can talk for 2 days about this shit. But anyway, the next step, the next insurance that we have is the Southwest China virgin market. They're not sophisticated yet. The Chinese Communist Party market as the engine of growth for China in the future. And beyond Southwest China, you see, ironically, this map is terrible. China is like this. It's not like this. It's like this. If you measure, first of all, did you know that Asia and Europe is the same landmass? We captured by the Portuguese psyche for so long. We thought Asia and Europe is a different universe. We are bloody same landmass. And now, if you take a train from Bangkok to Kunming to Chengdu, a little bit left northwest, Kazakhstan, Belarus, Russia, and then Poland. We are closer to Europe than Peking, the center of the empire. We are closer to the virgin territory of the next growth of Europe around there, because it's still virgin, and also into the present Europe also. You see, so who is the cleverest of them all? Not who is the prettiest of them all. Mirror, mirror, who's the prettiest of them all? Who the cleverest of them all at this moment? I must congratulate Deutschlandet Post. Deutschlandet Post already screwing around with the Russian and the Chinese for this track movement. Deutschlandet Post just concluded an agreement with Thai Postal Service. How many of you sitting here know the Thai Postal Service is an organization that makes money? Raise your hand. They just make 300 million baht income net last year. And you know through what? To sending parcel of less than 30 kilograms per parcel. You know, this weight, an international agreed weight, they call parcel. We expect the growth of e-commerce in Thailand at around 30% per annum, internally. Now, how many of you know how much DHL in Thailand make money? Don't think about the world, pretend that we are Khmer Rouge territory. We don't communicate with anybody else. We just screw around among ourselves here. And DHL said, okay, I come in and screw around with you. You know, transferring parcel from Silom to Sathorn, from Sathorn to Chiang Mai and all this. DHL make about 300 million net euro dollars last year in Thailand. Just parcel service. Now, I hope my staff turn it to the growth of internet service in China. Oh, I have so many. Okay, you look at this thing, and I just been to China, and I think the Alibaba.com guy coming to see me. But anyway, they're investing 16 billion US dollars to be able to transfer parcel within 24 hours internally in China. Now, can you imagine? You know, we are lucky. We in Thailand, we are lucky. The new petit bourgeois class and bourgeois class of China don't need to touch the products that they order or see them physically. Now, I shouldn't have to tell you the business of Alibaba.com in China. Yeah. Okay, any of you gentlemen here, because I want to be nice to Kun Supavut. So any of you gentlemen and ladies here would like this slide? We have 8 or 7 wonderful slides for you. Ask my staff, okay, before you leave. Okay, so now, you know, I read this crazy report of Credit Suisse, you know, about the Thai politician ambitions of high-speed train. I had a big laugh. You know, I think the economist at Singapore office of Credit Suisse should kind of have more training in my office first. It's just, he's still a child, but never mind. The point is this, you see, when you do a business model for infrastructure, it's not the same as doing business model for a shareholding company, limited partnership or whatever, You know, the government do infrastructure to enhance its ability to collect tax from you guys who are not very bright. To work your ass off to make some income and then pay tax, right? The point for the government to do infrastructure, to induce you guys to take risk, to make some money and even pay tax to us, even before the end of the year. You know, so VAT is very important to us. You see, the dynamic of your business is our key. Your end of the year report is so and so. You have 1,000 lawyers serving you, so you're able to sneak out. You know, we understand that. You know, no problem. You see. But the Credit Suisse report was so crazy. You know, I think this is a dream. It's a little bit like Jonathan Haidt just asked me last week on BBC program. He said, "Oh, Kun Pansak, is this your dream or infrastructure?" I said, "Jonathan, it's not a dream, it's a desperation. It's the same font, D, you know." It's my desperation that I had to set this shit up, you know, so that we can survive into the future, you know. Not because it's my dream, you know. We have to do this, and it is not the speed. It's the track. It's the track. And if the Chinese say to us, "Hey, you're not allowed to run at lower than 200 kilometers per hour," we will say, "Yes, sir." You see? You know, and if the Chinese say to us, "You're not allowed to run your train on our track more than 160 kilometers per hour," we say, "Yes, sir." You see, no problem. Yeah. The issue is so long as it keep it in the optimum range of time for optimum delivery timing. Okay? So the depth of our discussion with the Chinese is beyond that. And also the issue is, I'm sure some of you guys have traveled on the Chinese high-speed train, yes? Now, there are 36 businesses involved in transferring people on this tube back and forth. Did you know that? You can even sell insurance on the train. Did you know that? I didn't know that. Our crazy consultant with long consulting work to European train just told us. Yeah, all these things, direct business involvement. I don't need to talk about ripple effect of people transfer, of transfer technicians all over the place and be able to come back stay with the wife and the families, you know, and so on. All kind of ripple effect of development. You know, a lot of Japanese industry that are afraid of flood can go up to the plateau a little, and so on. And also, the Chinese and the Japanese, I hope they love each other, but as of now, they have correct relationship only. Therefore, the Chinese industry, they want to supply to Southwest China for parts, had to be here until the education system in Burma got better in 15 years' time. Meanwhile, they had to be here and then supply the parts need in China. The Japanese need, I told them, they need a balanced presence in China. You interpret that yourself. What is a balanced presence in China for Japan is. Okay? So, just one question. Next, you see, the business model is not just selling tickets. Are you nuts? Do you think Thai International or any other so-called national carriers in the world just sell tickets, they would lose less money? I'm not taking it, they're making profit. I'm saying everybody losing money at this moment, except some low-cost airline, okay? So the question should be posted this way. If they just sell tickets, would they lose less money? Okay. The issue of business model, even for airline, is to maximize air freight, the belly of the planes. Okay? So EVA airline is superb because it think about its belly first before it think about the passengers. because the culture of EVA comes from the sea, cargo, right? So EVA Airline is superb on this level. I never heard of EVA Airline making a loss, you know. So high-speed train, the business model is totally different, you know. The Credit Suisse guy is very strange. Is that you see, when you have a train, you come with it. It's the asset of land right, station, and so on. You see. So what you do with those land rights, you create cash flow. You know. So anybody, any house of research, please don't write anything that embarrass yourself. Go to Kyushu Island and study that rail system there. I invited Kyushu JR to consult with us. You know why? Because it lost money. If I invite a rail company that made billions of money, I will be screwing myself. Because that guy wouldn't know how to recognize danger signs. Kyushu JR is now going to advise us, not me, advise the rails, the State Railway of Thailand, how not to lose money. Because JR Kyushu now made money out of managing other assets, cash flow, that link with the entitlement of JR Kyushu. Now, that's one of the model. But my model is different. We add light cargoes plus passengers. Notice, I didn't say passengers plus light cargo. Why did I have to say that? Because in the end, it will be passenger plus light cargo anyway, through the Thai bureaucracy. But the point is that you have to manage the time on the track well. You know, you have 24 hours. How do you transfer goods at night? 4 o'clock, 3 o'clock in the morning, arrive in Bangkok at 5 o'clock, fresh, wonderful food, vegetables, and so on. People ask me, "Hey, Kun Pansak, you're crazy. You're going to build high-speed train and transfer perishable goods." So I told the guy, you know what? They use Boeing 747 belly to transfer Washington apple to Bangkok. And cherry tomatoes, all this shit for me to eat, which is cheaper than Thai mango at the supermarket. You know how much we consume fruit and vegetable internally in this country? 400 billion baht per annum. 400 billion baht per annum. And you know what is a wastage? 30% rotten on the way under the sun and humidity and the pollution and bad post-harvest packaging. Did you know that? The Thao Kẻ who sell wholesale the Thai vegetables, we went to interview. He said, my biggest jobs is to transfer garbage from one point to another point. See, only 1/3 of the garbage become vegetable that you eat at the Erawan Hotel at this moment. Yeah. So, can you imagine Northern Australian products coming by ship 1/3 of the way for delivery to China, 1/3 of the way only, and then load into light cargoes. They doesn't shake around too much. I'm sure you gentlemen and ladies don't drink wine and shake like this for 45 days. You know? On the sea. No, not so good. Okay, so project that to business model. Okay, so Credit Suisse, calm down, rewrite your report, and make some money without being sued. Okay. Okay, next question.
I think we have maybe time for one more question only, and I think that would relate to like asking you to expand a little bit on the light cargo, the economics light cargo, how fast it's growing, and there was an interesting slide on internet trade, maybe drilling into more of the numbers in terms of the growth in the light
cargo
industry.
Okay, Kun Gu. Okay, read the damn thing. Okay. Actually, I gave a little talk, 15 minutes, to international internet meeting, global meeting in Bangkok about nearly a month ago. It's in YouTube. The title is The Hinterland and the Internet. You can click through that and you get more detail on and because of we're going to have, what you call it, fiber optic line all the way. What does it mean to banking settlement? What does it mean for internet sale through your iPhone, contract, choosing of goods, and so on and so forth. And by the way, we had induced the Austrian, the natural hub of transfer between Asia and Europe, Western Europe, to do a research with Austrian researcher, German researcher, always a German, always there somewhere. Austrian researcher, German, and Swedish researchers together will do a more detailed study on light cargo between Europe and Asia. Okay, our preliminary research is very sexy because it's happening now. We don't have to project into the future that much. Okay, so that's the way it is. So now, on the side, I just had big, terrible discussion with somebody on rice, with some economists in Thailand. And most economists give you very simpleton answer, that if it is no good, then why don't you stop it? So, well, I can say the same thing about Thai financial system. If it's no good, let the market mechanism destroy it and rebuild it and so on. And then I think it's very, we cannot answer this question like a simpleton economist. We have to deal with reality. The reality being you provide alternative for the farmers' decision making about life, meaning you provide opportunities for them to shift their profession naturally. And this 2.2 trillion baht investment is not about the train. In fact, may I reveal my secret here to you with no charge to Patra? Is that we want the Thai to have option in life beyond the getting stuck to what God given them. Have the land, tilt the land until the world explode. Meaning you provide these opportunities for them to do two things. The track sexy enough for them to upgrade their products. I keep telling the commerce minister, stop selling commodities. We sell texture and fragrance. Commodities is for the serf to buy and sell. At this moment, when money is transferred from Europe to Asia, people demand texture and fragrance. Texture when you bite, when you buy rice, good quality rice, or when you buy spaghetti, pasta with good wheat, texture and fragrance. Yeah. We should be selling texture and fragrance, not commodities. Commodity is for the serf to deal with it. Therefore, these bloody tracts should hint to the Thai farming community. If I can upgrade my product from commodities to texture and fragrance, shall I meet the demand of the market better? Through what? And so on. All right? Next, we give the chance to SME and OTOP people to have direct buying, selling experience on random basis. Without one main dealer who may screw you. And they would actually send your product to be displayed in the other provinces. Count the numbers of the stations. We will, with the Chinese, create random hub that optimize light cargoes, deliveries. We can do the same with the Russian. I already talked to the Russians. Do we have any Russian gentlemen, ladies here? Okay. I talked to the Russian. The Russian rail, the Russian postal service is bad name, bad. It's bad. So my Russian counterpart said, we may just turn the pipe off and recreate because of parcel delivery. For Russia to grow randomly, the hinterland of Russia, it cannot grow an analog way of growing Tesco or supermarket, big supermarket physically and so on. But it can grow the little town in Austria in the hinterland with e-commerce. But if the postal service is bad, yeah, you screw, right, politically. So the thing for the Russian government to consider is to create efficient parcel delivery linked with us. In fact, you should read an article. Did you give that article to them? By this Russian who's a member of the Hudson Institute?
No, not yet.
Not yet? Okay. They can buy it from you. Copy. Okay. There's a Russian from Hudson Institute who wrote that Russia's future is with Asia. We depend too much on Western Europe. Therefore, Russia should create 1.4 meter gauge to connect with the Chinese with it. And I will verify this statement with my Chinese counterpart. The Chinese already offered to the Russian to build 1.4 meter gauge tract for the Russian barter with Russian commodities, meaning gas and oil. That's the future. Okay, so e-commerce, figure show, that's going to happen. People who are younger than you and me don't care about buying things through e-commerce. And it gives extraordinary, the rail track change global logistic system completely. It's changing it now because it's not just a dream. The Chinese in operation. So watch CNN tomorrow at about 5:30 Bangkok time. Major feature Chongqing to Duisburg. Okay.
I think we've run out of time, and with that, let me ask all of us again to join me in thanking Dr. Pansak. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. That was fun, right? That was fun session and very informative from Dr. Pansak and also Dr. Supawut Saichia จาก Patra Securities Public Company Limited. All right, Afternoon sessions will be held here in the ballroom, and we will start from 1:30 onwards. For those who are attending the one-on-one meetings and the group presentations, it starts 1:30 as well. So please proceed according to your meeting schedule. If you need one, please scan your badge at the registration desk at the lobby room. And now we'll have the lunch break for 1.5 hours. The buffet will be held in the residence on the mezzanine floor. See you in the afternoon session. Thank you very much.